Good evening. I'm Wendy Mir, STEM engineering educator for Indian River School District, child advocate, and adult child sexual abuse survivor. I came back this evening to inform the board and the public that before exposing the political and institutional corruption that worked together in trying to take me out and ruin my reputation, I did reach out to 4 board members prior to exposing these criminal activities. I truly did not know who to trust on the board. As I'm learning in my journey, we are living in a satanic world, and the enemy has his way of being affiliated with children and vulnerable adults, meaning being a part of these institutions, organizations, etc., that are supposed to be protecting and advocating for them. Only 1 board member chose to get back to me, and I believe he has a character of integrity and practices the same faith as I. I implore the rest of you to join him and be the governing body you are called to be. The brief recap of what I exposed should be scary, and our community should be concerned. I want everyone to know, including the state senator involved. Ironically, this state senator supports HB 417, the bill that I testified this legislative session to get through the House committee and the House, but he tabled it the last night of legislation. He also made this bill about me, and that is what the enemy does. Lobbying for HB 417 now starts all over in January. I have next steps planned, and I'm led by my faith. I'm asking the board to be the governing body they should be. The same opportunity I gave my former principals, the superintendent and assistant superintendent, and the HR who still have chosen to keep this hidden. Patience is action, and I believe some of these involved in my workplace abuse should be given the same leave I was. This time, the same crime you tried to accuse me of is exactly the same crime institutions try to cover up. I'm amazed where my faith has got me to expose all this. Our Creator is so good. To the HR who threatened me in speaking about any of this information, our child advocate for Delaware just spoke about half of a graduating class has been sexually abused. People need to be talking about the ick. Many are living with it. To the board, I would consider a paid leave this year, because when you already go through so much trauma and your body gets to a point where it needs rest and silence, I do not need it for my abuse or what has happened to my family. Trust me, I have the strength to teach. None of this is taken from my natural ability. I know where my strength comes from. I would take the offer for recovery from workplace abuse, and I know it calls for more institutional bravery. There's so much that is wrong in my story. To the board, this is your chance to lead. Everything rises and falls with leadership, and I believe the superintendent had no idea what was happening to me. But when given the opportunity to lead, he failed. It is tough doing the right thing and wanting to be liked, but as a leader, it is detrimental knowingly to do the wrong thing. I thank the board for allowing me to speak. I will leave you with this quote by Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. But I also know when you step in faith, God will step in power. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimberly Elliott.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Elliott. I'm a grandparent of a child in the Indian River School District, and I'm also Wendy's note taker in public policy meetings. I have been with her since the beginning of this unfolding journey, and I'm here to inform the board and the public about HB 417, a national movement where it gives a child that has been raped or molested a chance to come forward at any time civilly if abused in an institution or organization, where no time bar will signify whether or not it's too late to receive justice. Representatives reported back to us that Delaware schools and private institutions called in on the night that the HB 417 bill was tabled and in the past legislative session. They are requesting safeguards be put in place in this bill. The question should be, why are we safeguarding these institutions and organizations that covered up children being sexually assaulted? It is basically saying that you can rape or molest a small child and get away with it as long as you can hide it long enough. In Delaware, the latest news we have is that we have one school counselor exposed for raping 5-year-olds who gave fake degrees to the Department of Education and got by with it. We just had a young technology teacher in the Laurel School District who was exposed as the superintendent's son for obtaining child sexual images. We just had a big prostitution ring busted in the town of Georgetown. Yet how can we forget Dr. Earl Bradley, who sexually molested many generations of our children and is now known as the biggest pedophile in our nation? It took something that evil to even get this bill initiated, and now Wendy is making sacrifices to eliminate the civil statute indefinitely for survivors in the state of Delaware. Look at what has recently happened with high school student in your own district. I applaud the board for doing the right thing, no matter who the person was, and more than anything, I applaud the mother and the child for doing the righteous thing. And what has happened to Wendy here in the Indian River School District is horrific. I do not know how any of you would want to side and put up a fight against a real survivor and this testimony. You cannot make this evil up. Wendy has been under tremendous emotional stress, not only from her own story and policy or what has happened to her children or her husband's traumatic brain injury, but from a hostile work environment that needs to stop, and people should be held accountable, even the dark evil forces outside of the institution calling the shots. Truly, we have found that the systemic system works together to silence the survivors. Anyone can now find Wendy's Delaware whistleblower event on her YouTube channel, where she lists all the names and involved parties besides colleagues who she is trying to protect that have shared the provision that she has prayed for. She does not defame anyone, and she just lists the facts. I thank the board for allowing me to speak. Unfortunately, it takes terrible things like this to happen for us to reflect, grow, and change, and people like Wendy to be led by their faith and bring the light. The political forces behind these walls are in complete spiritual
10
darkness.
seconds.
And when we take orders from them, we are not protecting our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you.